our students to be able to go on to college and hopefully to be successful once they get here to DVC. And I'm so excited about launching our second cohort, our second group of students with the Diamante program, partly because I really identify with the work that we're doing together. I'm a first generation college student, as I think most of us that are here with you tonight. And I think back 30 years ago now, I don't know how 30 years have gone by, of when I was thinking about what to do with myself as I was coming out of high school. And my parents were immigrants and they supported me. Education was always the primary thing in our household, but we didn't really know how to do it or what to do. It was just, you had to do it, right? So I'm really, really excited about partnering with you as families and supporting your young person. We recognize that this is an unusual time to start a new program because we're all still online in the middle of a pandemic, but we've learned a lot this last year and how to support you and your students as they, one, finish high school, because we know that you're all going to be successful in that first step, and then transitioning to DVC, hopefully DVC or a college of choice. And we want to welcome you, underscore that we're here to support you through this process, and hopefully to build community with you, because this does feel like a big family with the Diamante Scholars Program. And just to wrap it up, I'll end with a quote that's one of my favorite quotes from Antonio Machado. And in Spanish, it's El camino se hace al andar. In English, you make the road by walking it. And I think that's the journey that we're about to embark on with you, that we are building a road with your student, hopefully to meet whatever their dreams are, to discover what they want to do in this next phase of their life. So welcome to the DVC family, welcome to the Diamante Scholars Program, and I'll turn it back to Yenny.
Thank you, Rosa, for that introduction. And now I'm going to turn it over to Peter and Christine.
We are inviting Peter and Christine to chat about how this program got started, because they're really the people who made it all happen. So please, Peter and Christine, share with us how that has gone.
Thank you. Hey, and first of all, welcome to the Diamante Scholars Program, and Rosa and Yenny and Ada have just done an amazing job bringing this to life. And this began because I'm a DVC alum, and it was at DVC that I was a horrible student until I got to DVC, and then that was where I discovered math, and it sent me down the path to engineering and to UC Berkeley and Silicon Valley and MIT. But if you looked at my grades in high school and listened to my counselors in high school, they had told me that I was never going to go to college. And, as my wife and I talked about our careers and what, made our careers meaningful, we realized it wasn't so much the classes we took or where we went to school, but it was what we learned in college that helped us create careers. And, the really valuable things that careers are based on, are problem solving skills and being able to work on teams well, and developing professional relationships, being curious and being resilient. So about 2 years ago, how could we create a program that could take high school seniors and put them on a path where we could help teach them those valuable life skills, in addition to getting them a great education at DVC, and then put them on a path where they could go to a 4-year school if that's what they wanted to do, or go into a trade if that's what they wanted to do. But our main focus with this program is helping our students develop the really important life skills, in addition to getting a great education that can get all these students put on a path, to success, and success that they define. Our first cohort, they're about to start their second semester in college. We've been with them for a year. It's been super exciting. We've had guest speakers come and tell them about how they chose their majors, the role their majors had, about how they've confronted adversity, how they've become great problem solvers. And it's exciting to see this next group of students come in and see where we can go with them. So welcome and thank you.
And I just like to say bienvenidos a todos. Totally agree with everything Peter says. Really happy that we've been able to work with a fine team at DVC on this program. And the other thing I think I would add to the skills he talked about is being a lifelong learner and never being afraid to fail, make a mistake. I know Peter and I both are, and right now, y ahora estoy aprendiendo el español y tengo mi clase de español inmediatamente después de este programa. And I'm trying. So if I can try, you can try. So welcome, everybody.
And just add one other thing that I meant to say at the beginning also is that the other very special thing about Diamante that you're now joining is that it's a partnership between Diablo Valley College, Mount Diablo Unified School District, and Christine and Peter Zavalos, who are all invested in supporting your students. So this is a very unique program, really interesting new work that we're doing together because we know that it's needed. Thank you.
And so we want to make sure that we go over what the program is your student will be engaging in as you support them along the way in completing high school and transitioning to college. And that's what we'll be helping with them as well. So the Diamante Scholars Program specifically is a high school to college bridge program that develops students' skills for college and career success and a belief in their own potential. And Peter did just describe some of the skills that we do focus on and we think are important in the success for career, profession, life. And we start off with a Career 100 class this spring. So just in a couple of weeks, Yenny has been working through this registration process with your students already, getting them to do a DVC application, having the dual enrollment form signed, and she'll be talking a little bit more about that. But that's what we're doing all that work for to get this Career 100 class. That Career 100 class is about college and career preparedness. From there, we then connect your students to an internship experience over the summer in an area that they're interested in, and we connect them to learning communities, which are successful supportive programs at DVC. And then during their time at DVC, as Peter also spoke a little bit about, we connect them to different speakers in different industries. We're going to have more internship opportunities. And when we're in person, we'll also have university and industry visits, which at this time we've had to hold off on and instead done the wonderful part of having those guest speakers come in virtually. And so I'll hand it over to Yenny to discuss what type of students we've accepted into the program or who is a good fit for this program. Go ahead, Yenny.
Thank you, Ada. So this program is designated for seniors or mid-year graduates from Mount Diablo, Ignacio Valley, Concord High, or any alternative high school. The program is for students who may feel that they are not college material, who are the first one in the family to attend college, students who are planning to enroll as a full-time student at DVC in the fall, and those students who are still deciding on what to do with their future and also not sure how to pay for college.
So your student may fit one of the different categories that Yenny mentioned. And these students wanted to make sure we shared a bit of the student perspective with you from that first cohort that we've had starting last January. And these students also fit one of those characteristics, one or more. And so I'm going to go ahead and read these quotes, actually. So the first quote is from Jorge Salas from Mount Diablo High. He said that the Career 100 class helps you really think about what career path you want to go down, or maybe help you see if that career path is really for you. The internship is also a great thing to really help one grow as a person and be more professional and impress employers when applying for a job. And then we have a quote from Litzy Gonzalez from Ignacio Valley High, and she says, staff is very welcoming, and every task that is given has a purpose that will make your transition to DVC better. So both of these students, these quotes really come from the and understanding that all of the students share. They all felt the Career 100 class was helpful. The internships were really helpful, and they have appreciated our support through this whole process and through their first semester at DVC.
Excellent. So now I'm going to go over the enrollment steps. As Ada mentioned early, the first step for students is to complete the DVC application, and I have been working with students, and most students have already completed this step. The next step is the dual enrollment form, and this is a really crucial step because this form requires a signature from the student and the parent. So if students do not complete this form, they will not be able to register for the Career 100 class. Some of you have already, I think, Chris, we were shouting earlier.
Yeah.
I think you figured it out. Thank you. So thank you for getting this step done early. For parents who have not completed this step, I created instructions on how to complete this process, and I emailed those instructions to students. I have a section for parents, and I also created YouTube videos that walk parents through the process. So if any of you still need help with this process, please let me know, and I am more than welcome to help you and walk you through this process. The last step is to register for the Career 100 class. So once students have completed the dual enrollment form, I will be reaching out to them and provide instructions on how to register for the class. And the class starts in a couple weeks. February 10, students will be meeting once a week on Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:20.
Yeah, so this is just to summarize what's going to happen next, which I touched base on a little bit. So your student will start the class February 10th and every Wednesday after that. So the class is from 3:30 to 5:20 every Wednesday starting February 10th with Professor Maria Dorado, who is a DVC academic counselor. She's really great. And then very soon, I think it's going to zoom by so quickly, the students are going to start their internships in June. And then from there, they're going to prepare for college at DVC. So in the spring, we'll probably start inviting financial aid to come in and chat with them, start that process, as well as a couple other programs or opportunities. So you might have your student return and ask you some questions around that. And pardon my video, sometimes it just stops working. And so I think now we just have time for questions, right, Yanni? Please let us know what you have questions about, what you're wondering. Like, as I told the students in the interview phase, this is a good time to ask, okay, what did my student commit to, and maybe how you might support them. So please just let us know what questions you might have for us.
Okay. I would like to know the internship that's going to start in June. Because of this pandemic that we're in, is it going to be a virtual internship, or how will that work?
They will be 100% virtual, and we did the virtual internships for the first time last summer. We weren't sure how it was going to work out, and it worked out really well. As you can see, the students really appreciate it still, so we're going to continue to have them virtual.
Can you give me an example of what it's like so I can explain that to my son? Because that was one of his main questions to me. He was asking me.
Oh, that's great.
He was worried, like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to have an internship, and what does it mean to do this? And I was trying to explain to him, but then as I was saying, I'm like, but we're in this pandemic mode, so I really don't know. So can you give me an example of how
that.
it works?
Yes, I really appreciate that. And they will learn a little more. So one example is an example from students who work with the Monument Crisis Center. So students who worked there were actually tasked on creating workshops that they then can deliver to younger students, so elementary or middle school age. So we had about 2 students match with them. They figured out how to create a workshop, and they did it all virtually. And then they implemented the workshop, they made it happen, and then that was their project. So most of the internships who have a little project like that, we had a lot of students who were matched with the county public health office, and they were tasked on researching something that they were interested in, and then giving a presentation on that and related to that office's work. So every company will be a little different, but all of them have a very clear little project that the students will work on, that they'll be able to work on. And the biggest thing there, which they'll hear a lot about, is the communication between themselves and their boss, right? And communicating what they're interested in, what they hope to learn. And then if the project that is assigned to them is something that they want to do, that they feel like they'll learn from, and that is exciting to them. And through that process, we also have the Mount Diablo Unified staff who support them and lead them through workshops weekly, actually, in addition to us.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does. And I actually have a follow-up question now. How do you pair up the students to the internships? Is it just random, or do you do some kind of assessment to place them with certain employers?
So it's based on the student's interest.
Okay.
So it's a conversation with the student of what area, like, and what major, like, it just kind of wherever they're at. I know some students, for example, knew that they want to do engineering when we interviewed them. Other students said, well, it's between doing health or education. So it will be as close to whatever your student is interested in figuring out in terms of what their next step is.
Got it. Okay, great. Thanks.
What kind
Thank you. That's helpful.
Sorry. What kind of schedule?
Go ahead, Chris.
What kind of schedule is it for them with the internship in the summer? Do they come up with a regular schedule for them, like a job?
Yes. Another excellent question. Yes, they do. And the internships start around the second week of June and end around the third week of July, if not a little bit earlier. So it's about 6 weeks. And the schedules are determined with the employer that they have and the length of project that they have. So they'll all vary depending on where your student's going to be, but it will be a set number of hours because I think they'd like to know when to expect the student to report to their internship. Some of the placements also like them to join them on like certain meetings and stuff like that.
Sure.
So there will be a regular schedule that they'll follow.
Great.
Thank you for these questions. What are some other things you guys are wondering about?
Oh, I saw in one of the slides there was a cost there for something, but I kind of saw that towards the end. Is there a cost, and what is that cost?
It wasn't a cost. It was money that we will be giving to them. So thanks to our partners, Peter and Christine, once they're enrolled in DVC, they'll ultimately receive what is this a small scholarship or stipend, and it is $150 per semester at DVC, up to 4 semesters.
Oh, very nice.
Yes.
In February of last year, we had an actual welcome reception where we had the parents and the students over at Mount Diablo High School, and we had a really nice evening together. We had dinner, and we could all talk to each other in person. So this is the COVID alternative.
Yes.
Doing this on Zoom.
And talked to so many of the families one-on-one. It was really great to meet so many parents.
Yes.
Especially. Yeah.
Well, and
Yeah.
during this time, it's nice to have a group like this to help hold your child's hand.
Yeah, on that topic, I'm curious to hear from you what the experience has been like for your student this last semester in high school, and if there's things that you think would be helpful for us to think about in supporting them. And that's a big question. And we're throwing it at you, but I know it's been difficult for some students to be online for so long.
Well, I can only, I mean, from what my son has told me, and I've observed, occasionally we've had to share the same room while he's in class and I'm working. And I just think that, we weren't prepared to go through this. So, I know teachers weren't prepared to know how to give a class. And I think it's very different to give a class in person than it is to give it over the Zoom. And I just found that my son would just would get very disinterested because of the tone. It was like a monotone, like if someone was a computer almost sometimes. Other people spoke really, really, really fast, and I can see where he would get frustrated because he was like, oh my God, I can't write that fast. And so I think nobody was really prepared to go through this mode. And when you're teaching to a class of, I don't know how many kids were in per class, but even if there was like more than 20, you would think that everyone has their own style. So that was kind of tricky for everyone, I think. But one of the things that I realized a lot that my child did not get through his high school years that I got in mine, and I even got some of this stuff really early on, is how to even balance a checkbook. What does that mean? I mean, those sense of responsibilities, people skills, they're always on a screen with their face in a screen that, I often have to remind my child, when we go to, to church or events, I go, you need to shake their hands and you need to look them in the eye, not on their cheek, not on the forehead, look them in the eye, I mean, be proud of who you are, you represent the family. I have to kind of instill these things in them because they're so shyish, so like unsecure. I think that's the word, very insecure. They're very secure to have their gadgets in their hands. But when it comes to being out and about, they're very insecure. And my son has had this job at the mall. And I've been so surprised how he's kept it this long. I think he's been over there a little over a year because I really think he can really improve his people skills. He can speak very well. So I know I know he doesn't have reservations because he can't express himself. But he's just shy about it all completely. I'm like, why? You speak just fine, and you can articulate very well. And so why do you have this reservation to just speak? But I think that I don't, and we were taught that in high school. We had speaking classes. We had to do presentations in front of a class. But I don't see that a lot done in high school anymore.
Well, your timing is really good because actually we were in an email exchange earlier today with someone who will be coming in to give presentation skills training to the current cohort because like no one told me how to meet someone, and how do you email somebody that you want to talk to about maybe getting a job?
Yes.
We figured this stuff out after we got out of college. And so much of what we're doing in this program is passing that knowledge and expertise along to these students now. And we think they're gonna have a leg up over all the kids that weren't in this program because they're gonna know how to make a presentation. And the focus of this presentation skills is to develop the answer to when you sit down in front of somebody about a job or anything, and they say, tell me about yourself. That's what this
Yes.
presentation skills class is going to do to help them answer that question. So you're bringing up an awesome point, Rosie, and that is one of the main reasons why we developed this program, to help these students develop these skills that you tend to learn the hard way.
Great.
And I'm so excited to have your student there. And we did see a lot of students that were similar to your student grow in those skills. And I always have a fun time seeing that. And so hopefully they'll expand on it in the career course. But as you said, sometimes it can be difficult. But I know in the internships that did happen, there were some really shy students. And over the course of the time, they were able to open up more and more and more, and they really appreciated the internships because of that. Did anyone else have any questions or anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I'm just very grateful that you chose my daughter for this program. I think she's going to love it, and I think it's going to bring out a lot of her potential.
Ooh, we're so excited. So thank you. We're really, 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 you don't even know, we're so excited to work with all of your students. It was so wonderful interviewing them. Yenny and I, Peter and Christine have yet to meet them, but as you can tell, they're very excited. So Thanks for supporting them and for being here tonight.
Thank you
you
very
all.
much for the
Thank you,
presentation.
everyone.
Thank you.
Nice
Have a
to
good
meet you
evening,
all.
everyone.
Thank you.
Too.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Have a good evening.
Too.